Merry Christmas, everyone. This is Tonya Gibbs, and welcome to my channel. Today I want to create with you a Christmas ornament tutorial. This is an Yvonne Blair Art Girls project. Here's the ornament that we are going to create. Today I am going to feature the compass stamp from Yvonne Blair Designs. This is an Impression Obsession stamp, and it is linked up in the description box down below, a blog post that has that linked up for you so you'll know right where to go buy it. So today the base for this ornament are these little wooden pieces that I got from a local craft store, and you can find them at just about all of the box stores. These are called Woodpile Fun, and they're in the wooden section. There are lots of different sizes in this bag, so you can have lots of fun with it. So I'm going to encourage you to go through all of your Yvonne Blair collections of stamps and then look for sayings that you can use. And if you would like to have a little bit of fun with this, look for words on her stamps like wish and magic and magical, and just stamp one of the words off of the stamp. In this case, the compass fits perfectly on this one huge block, so I'm going to use it today. But look for words like miracle would be perfect for Christmas, or how about on this stamp you could use what does this one say? It says, yes, I believe. And then also on the other stamp it says miracle, or make a wish, or, any of those fun things. So, one of the things I like about Yvonne's stamps is that she uses a lot of words. So you could definitely go through any of her collection, pick out words, and just focus on the one word on any of these, and it would make a fantastic ornament. So, to attach my ornament to the tree, I'm going to use these little cup hooks, or I think these are called, what do they call them? They're like in the picture hanger sizes. I don't know what they call them. They call them screw hooks or something like that. But anyway, I'm going to just kind of very gently screw this into the top of my ornament here at the top. Just, again, very, very gently. You don't want it to snap off the top of that. So once I have that in place, I want to kind of fill in some of these irregular holes that are inside of the wood pieces. I find it hard to stamp onto this and get a good impression if all of this texture is on the wood. So I'm going to use the Liquitex light modeling paste. I don't want this to be really thick, so just a really nice thin layering on this, and I'm using my finger to smooth it out. Be careful not to get splinters because this is a wood piece, but just a really nice thin coat. Then I'm going to use some gesso. This is the Faber-Castell gesso. I want it to be kind of thinned out, so I'm just going to use a piece of recycled packaging there with a little bit of water in it, and a little sponge applicator there to add that to my wood piece. Now, I'm going to do this ornament in two different styles, and I'm going to do one way on the front of the ornament and then another way on the back of the ornament. And I had never tried this before doing the recording, so it's more or less a trial and error sort of thing. For me, I'm experimenting as I do this. I could have edited part of this out, but I sometimes feel like if I'm asking the what if question and I need it answered, I also want you guys to know the answer to the what if as I go, so that you do not have to ask those same questions if you decide to build out this project as well. So I must confess, I'm not completely happy with the first run of this project, but to each his own style. So I'm leaving both there so you can decide which one you like best, and you can follow the sample that you like to follow on your own. So I don't want to sway your decision one way or another, but I did the same technique on both sides as far as filling in the spackle and doing the gesso on both sides. I wanted to tone down. I felt like the wood was just a little too dark, which is why I used the gesso on the piece of wood, because it I felt like it was just a little too dark colored. Okay, so this is the direct decorations that I want to use at the top around my cup hook to disguise it a little bit. So this is just a piece of flower I found in my stash. I have no idea where it came from, who made it, but it looks like a stem I may have picked up from oh, I don't know. I don't even want to take a guess at where it came from. So I've had it in my stash for quite a while. So I suggest go through your stash and just find some flowers that kind of look Christmassy and run with it. Because I'm going to tear this apart and do something with it. The colors that I'm using here, and again, go through your stash, use what you have. But I'm using two colors. These are from Tattered Angels. One of them is Marmalade, and the other is going to be Peppermint Stick. One of them is an orange-based red, and it has a lot of gold glimmer in it. And then the other Peppermint Stick is a more vibrant, rich Christmas red. And again, it has a more red, a deep red shimmer in it. So I don't even think either one of these are still in circulation. They're both I've had in my stash for a really long time. So again, I'm not sure which glimmering option you have in your stash, but look for a red that you have and just run with it. And then as far as the green leaves go, I'm using again Tattered Angels, and this one did not have any shimmer in it, so it was called Grass, and it's plain Jane. This is one of my all-time favorite greens, and I don't know, I just really like it a lot. I'm adding a little bit of the Heidi Swapp Gold Lame to that as well, just to give it a little shimmer. And I'm painting it onto the leaves. And I'm using a paintbrush instead of saturating this because I just feel like I have a little more control this way. And I don't know, it's really kind of soothing for me. And I feel like I'm not oversaturating everything. Once I have all my flowers colored up, I took the gold lame and spritzed it into the cup. That's where I had painted up my leaves. And now I'm taking some of this jute twine, and I'm just going to add a little gold lame to it as well. And then it's a great way to color up some of this twine I've had in my stash for a really long time, but give it a really nice Christmas gold color to it. Always look for things you have in your stash when you're making things like this, and see if you can't add a little bit of Christmas flair to it with some of your sprays. I love the natural look of this twine, and just by hitting it with a little bit of that gold, it's going to just, give it that glitz that it needs to be added to my tree. And apparently I like the mannequin look on my hands, so I'm several hours later, I still have a lot of gold on my fingers, but that's okay. Everybody needs a little sparkle, right? Okay, so I've pulled out my IndigoBlu Flitter box. Now, this is not for the faint at heart, I will tell you. It's quite messy, so be prepared for this. But this is a kit that I got a couple of years ago, and I've really enjoyed playing with this. There's this little piece of foam that comes with it, and then the Flitter glue, you just add a little bit to a piece of foam, and then you work it in with the spatula. You do add the glue right straight to your stamp, and then you're going to stamp it right onto your project. And then you're going to allow it to dry. I want to make sure all of the mediums that I have put on that wood is really good and dry before I add this glue to it. So that's why I used the heat gun there, since I did use gesso on that wood. Because anything that is wet, this foiling is going to stick to it, and I don't want to do that. I want to make sure it's good and dry. So I've added it. It's very hard to see. And to remember, the wood is very porous, but it's also very textured. So you're not going to get a 100% perfect impression. If you're planning on perfection, just don't give it up. You're going to have to paint the surface to get a perfect impression. So I'm adding my foiling, and of course my fingers are full of glue, so they're sticking to my fingers. And like I said, this is not for the faint at heart. But I do love the foiling technique, so I'm willing to go there with the mess. Then you take this little scoochy thing, scrubby thing that they have, and you just kind of burnish some of that gold off. You don't want to rub too hard because you don't want to rub off what you just put on. But again, it's not perfect. I don't expect it to be perfect because I'm putting it onto a wood surface, which is very textured. So this is the second side, the B side of this little block, and I'm going to do the second technique for you guys. So in this side, what I decided to do is cover the entire side with modeling paste and really get a smooth surface on this little piece of wood, because I didn't like that it wasn't perfect. It was bothering me. So I decided, well, what would happen if I went ahead and filled in all of the texture on the wood? And I want to get this really good and dry because I'm going to add multiples of layers here. So then I decided to add white gesso over the top. But then I was wondering if my gold would show up on the white. So again, I'm just adding a layer of gesso because it's really thick, it's heavy, and I don't have any black gesso on hand. If you decide you want to go with the chalkboard and you do have to invest in gesso, go ahead and just do black gesso, or even chalkboard paint would be fine. So once the gesso has had a chance to dry, then come back with the black chalkboard paint. The gesso is a little thicker than regular paint, which is why I did gesso first. If to do it again, if I had chalkboard paint, I probably would have gone ahead and just skipped the gesso step and just put chalkboard paint. Now, another piece of advice is go really slow, and you do want to make sure you get your lines very straight. It just makes for a nice clean edge. You want it to be as neat as possible. It is hard to do on these little wooden pieces because they're not neatly cut, obviously, because they're a piece of wood. But I think the neater this is, the better it looks. So just using my sponge applicator to get this really good and neat. And you don't want to leave any clumps of paint because as we stamp, the idea here is that this needs to be as smooth as possible. So I'm being very careful to make sure that my paint is as smooth as glass. And again, I'm going to dry it really well and then probably add another layer of paint. Once everything is dry, I'm going to go back and add a little bit more glue to my little applicator here. One thing I didn't mention is that on your stamp you do want to make sure you are cleaning it really well because this flitter glue will ruin your stamps. So soapy water will take care of that, and I just have an old toothbrush that I use to scrub my stamp with. So you do want to make sure you are stamping your stamp going in the correct orientation, and you do want to make sure it is good and straight. I'm using my little eye hook there to make sure I'm stamping in the right direction. And you can kind of see the impression that was left on the piece of wood. Now you don't need to use a lot of this foiling stuff. You don't want to waste it because it is very expensive. But now you can really see it pop on this darker side as I'm adding the foiling. Put all of the foil back into the bucket because you can reuse it. So don't waste it by all means. And now as I burnish all of this away, you can really see the detail there. And that's why I think I like the chalkboard side better, because I feel like the image is a little crisper. And the detail is a lot better than it is on the other side. Not that the other side is bad. It still shows up really well when I put it on my Christmas tree, and you'll see that in the pictures. I like them both for different reasons. I just feel like the contrast of the black and the smoothness of the ornament just helps it to show up a little better. So now I'm just going to take my twine, and I want to make sure all of my other elements that I have dyed are good and dry, and I've tied that off there at the top. I'm going to add a little bit of matte medium to that so that it doesn't slip and it stays good and tight. And then I'm going to start breaking apart my other elements. Now you're going to see me in this video cut these little pieces apart with my Timmy scissors. I do not recommend doing that. After I did it, I went, what are you doing? These are wires. Don't do that. My Timmy scissors are probably on their last leg anyway. I need to buy a new pair, but I recommend that you don't do this and instead use wire cutters, because these did have thick wires in them. But anyway, do as I say, not as I do, right? Anyway, so now I'll get in frame in just a minute. I'm just wrapping this wire around the little eye hook there. And now I'm just going to take some of this twine and go back and forth in a figure 8 and make like a little bow out of my twine to put over my eye hook. Also keep in mind that hot glue, while it is very durable, it does not stick very well to wood or metal long term. So I am going to, you'll see me alternate between the matte medium and the hot glue. The hot glue will hold everything in place temporarily, but the matte medium will ensure that it sticks for life. So that's what you see me messing with both glues there. That's what that's all about. So just going to add a little bit of that matte medium there to the center of that bow, and then I'm going to use that bow to disguise my little eye hook there at the top. I don't necessarily need the eye hook to hang anything on the tree because I did put the string on. It's just more or less there to affix the string to the ornament. And then I'm going to use the flowers to sort of just give a little bit of pizzazz to the top, and then use those leaves to come down the side of my ornament. I just like to do this because I feel like this ornament, because I did do the stamping on both sides, I could easily turn it around on my tree. You could see both sides of the ornament easily from either side. If I did use this as a gift tag on a package, you would see both sides and it would be fine. The person I give this to could decide which side they like the best and hang it up. Like I said, it's not that the natural side looks bad, because it doesn't. It looks great too. It's just a matter of preference. Which one do you like better? And on a tree with the lights hitting it, both sides look fantastic. So it's just a matter of preference, like I said, which one's bolder. And I do like that it's sort of a yin and yang option. So yeah, you need to decide for yourself which one you like better. And I do love using things like this on my packaging as tags or as bows in lieu of bows, because I feel like bows are a waste of time. So sometimes I like to do these on extra special packaging for family members or someone I know that would use this as a ornament on their tree, or keep this as their tree. I mean, my 8-year-old nephew would not get one of these on his gift because he probably would never care, but maybe someone like a friend at work or something may like to have something like this on their packaging. So there's our ornament. Isn't it gorgeous? And here's the close-ups of the two so you can decide for yourself. This is what it looks like on the tree. And this is obviously the chalkboard side. And then here is the natural side. Again, it's just plain. It just depends on what your design is on your tree and how it looks. So if you guys have enjoyed this production today, please don't forget to hit that like button and share this production with a friend. And don't forget to go visit that blog post down below that has the link in the description box. It will have links for all the products that I used today, and also it will have the link to the stamp. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it.